The Expendables begins on a tanker ship. The crew is being held hostage by a group of pirates who are getting fed up because they aren't receiving payment. They've been holding them for over 3 months, and they haven't received anything, so they're going to send a message. Just when the leader is about to execute one of the crew members, a bunch of lasers fix on him. It's the Expendables, and they have the $3 million, but the pirates say it isn't good enough anymore. Now they want 5. This forces the Expendables to shoot the pirates, and they're able to take out something like 20 pirates without injuring any of the hostages. The group was successful in this operation, but Gunner seems to be losing his grip on reality due to burnout and a drug problem. This forces group leader Barney Ross to cut Gunner from the team, and they return to their headquarters/biker garage/tattoo parlor. Barney meets a man named Mr. Church, and Mr. Church seemingly works for the CIA. He wants the Expendables to take out a General Garza, who's the dictator of a small island nation named Vilain. So Lee, Christmas, and Barney go to the island to scout it out. They meet their contract named Sandra. Sandra tells them that an American named James Monroe came to the island and everything changed. We later learn that Sandra is the daughter of the general, and she wants things on the island to change. After a brief scouting session, they are confronted by the local military and they are forced to fight. A chase ensues, and Christmas and Barney are able to escape the island after killing 41 soldiers. Barney offered to take Sandra with him, but she declined, and she was captured by the soldiers. Barney figures out that General Garza really isn't Church's target, but instead, Church wants the Expendables to do his dirty work for him. Monroe is the real target. He's a rogue ex-CIA operative who decided he wanted to make more money by doing illegal activities with the Vilain government. The Expendables now have a problem, because Monroe knows who they are after he enlists Gunner's help, and he tells him everything he knows about his old crew. When out driving with Yin Yang, Barney is attacked. Luckily, his truck is bulletproof, which helps in situations like when you're ambushed. A chase ensues, and eventually the hit squad gets whittled down to just Gunner being left. Gunner and Yin Yang get into a hand-to-hand fight, and Barney is forced to shoot Gunner, but Gunner isn't dead. Gunner whispers to Barney that Monroe was the one who attempted the hit. Barney convinces the Expendables to go back to the island after they initially deemed it too dangerous, because Barney can't get the girl he left behind out of his head. He wants to rescue her and save the island. The Expendables make their way to the palace and assault the compound. The general at this time is becoming disillusioned with Monroe, and he wants to cut ties with him. The general is upset that Monroe has been torturing his daughter to get information about her plans for revolution and her association with the Expendables. While making their way through the palace, each of the Expendables places C4 charges around the facility. Barney is able to find Sandra and free her temporarily, until Stone Cold Pain clotheslines Barney. The rest of the Expendables are able to free Barney from the Vilain army, but they bring Sandra back to Monroe and Garza. Everyone stops fighting just long enough for General Garza to make a speech about forcing Americans out of Vilain. After he's done with his speech, Monroe shoots him in the back, and everyone returns to fighting again. The Expendables end up destroying the palace, and they fight their way through the army until it's finally down to Monroe and Barney, with Monroe holding Sandra hostage. Monroe gives a speech about how him and Barney are the same. They're mercenaries, and they're dead inside, and he asks why he came for him. And Barney says he didn't come for him, he came for her, right before shooting him. The film closes with the Expendables back at their hideout, and Gunner is part of the group again. It seems like everything's forgotten. The second Expendables film begins in Nepal. The Expendables are there to free a Chinese billionaire who's being held hostage. When they free the hostage, they see that Trench is also being held hostage because he attempted and failed to free the billionaire. After freeing the hostages, the army chases the Expendables, but they are being helped out by the newest member, Billy the Kid, who is providing sniper support. After the group successfully returns home, Billy talks to Barney outside a biker bar. He tells him that he isn't cut out for being a member of the Expendables. He says he wants to finish out the month, but then he's done. He has a girl waiting for him, and he wants to get back to her. Church confronts Barney back at the hangar where he keeps the Expendables plane. Church is not happy with Barney. He says that Barney stole $5 million from him, and he says he owes him. He says he's going to lock Barney up, and thus he does a job for him. He wants the Expendables to receive a package that was in a Chinese plane that was shot down over Kazakh. Church doesn't want to tell Barney what is in the safe, but he says it can't fall into the wrong hands. He also says he's sending someone with Barney. Her name is Maggie Chan, and she's there to open the safe. The group is able to break into the safe and get the case. However, they run into a problem when they're leaving the crash site, and they see Billy is being held hostage by Vilain. Vilain convinces the Expendables to drop their weapons and give him the case. Vilain gives a speech about respect being everything, and he tells the Expendables that fighting men don't deserve to be killed like sheep. He also says that respect needs to be taught. Before leaving on the helicopter, Vilain asks Billy if he's afraid of him, and Billy says no. Vilain takes this as a sign of disrespect, and he has his right-hand man hold a knife up to Billy's chest, and Vilain kicks the knife into his chest. Billy dies after this, and it provides Barney with a lot of motivation to track Vilain down. Barney now wants to know what was in the case. Maggie explains to him that there are blueprints in the case of a Russian mine. The mine has enriched plutonium in it. which can be used in nuclear weapons, and Vilain plans on capturing the plutonium and selling it to willing bidders. Vilain is the leader of a group named the SAGs. They are a notorious faction of a terrorist mercenary group, and they are hated in Eastern Europe. The SAGs are making local villagers get the plutonium for them, and many of them are getting sick and dying. The Expendables go to a nearby abandoned town and prepare to take the mine, but the SAGs attack them before they can do so. The SAGs are overwhelming them until a man named Booker saves them. He takes out like 40 guys and a tank by himself. He's a self-described independent who assists when he can, but his nickname is the Lone Wolf. The Expendables push their way to the mine, but they don't know the SAGs have rigged the mine to blow, and they are planning to blow it up and bury all the villagers in it once they have the plutonium. The fortifications the SAGs have set up around the mine are too hard to breach, so the Expendables decide to just crash their plane into the mine. By the time the Expendables make it to the mine, the plutonium is gone, and Vilain ignites the charges, and he buries everyone in the mine under rubble, and now they're trapped. However, Trench gets an earth mover and he saves everyone. The Expendables, Trench, Mr. Church, and Booker cut the SAGs off before they can arrive at the airport. A fight ensues, and the Expendables track Vilain and his group to a hangar. Christmas ends up fighting Vilain's right-hand man, Hector, and he takes him out by knocking him into a helicopter propeller. That just leaves Vilain and Barney, and they take each other on and shoot at each other for a while until Vilain runs out of bullets and challenges Barney to a hand-to-hand fight. Barney agrees, and they fight this way until Vilain pulls a knife, and then Barney gets a chain, and he takes the knife away from Vilain and kills him with it. The third Expendables film begins in Serbia, with the Expendables raiding a heavily armed train that is transporting a prisoner. The train is transporting a man named Doc, who's been a prisoner for 8 years, but he used to be an Expendable. After the Expendables free Doc, he could have just escaped, but he decides to kill the remaining guards on the train, and he throttles the train to full speed. This causes the train to crash into the prison, which houses the dictator who has kept them captive for 8 years. Doc is able to jump from the train to the helicopter right before it crashes. After saving Doc, the Expendables fly directly to Mogadishu for their next job. They are there to capture a man named Victor Mins. The man they think is Mins lands in a helicopter, and Barney can't believe what he sees when he sees Conrad Stonebanks exit the chopper. Stonebanks was a co-founding member of the Expendables, but Barney thought he was dead. He, however, is very much alive, and he's an arms dealer who smuggles his weapons in containers holding expensive works of art. Stonebanks explains that customs won't x-ray containers with expensive artwork because it ruins the oil. Stonebanks is able to escape by a helicopter, but before leaving he gravely enters Caesar, and he drops a bomb on the group. Caesar, however, is the only one who ends up in bad shape. Caesar getting hurt makes Barney reconsider what risks he's making those around him take. Doc explains at one point that the Expendables started with 5 people, and then they grew to 22, but most of them are now dead. Those losses are weighing heavily on Barney, so he decides to disband the group, because he doesn't want the current members getting killed or hurt. Barney still wants to go after Stonebanks, however, so he meets with new CIA contact Drummer. Drummer gives him one more shot to go and find Stonebanks. To get Stonebanks, Barney needs a new team, so he turns to his old friend Bonaparte to help him recruit new members. The new members that Bonaparte recruits are much younger than the disbanded Expendables. After gathering his new team, Barney makes another attempt on Stonebanks, but this isn't the usual drive-in, guns-blazing Expendables plan. The younger recruits come up with a more sophisticated plan, which ends up working. They ambush Stonebanks at another arms deal, and the plan works until Stonebanks' men attack the vehicle he's being transported in, because they left a GPS tracker on him. All the new team members are captured, except Barney, because he was thrown from the bridge by a rocket. When Barney is found downriver by Stonebanks' men, he is able to kill them and escape on his plane. Stonebanks tortures the new members, and he tells them why he became an arms dealer in the first place. When he was a member of the Expendables, the US government tried to assassinate him. Barney is preparing to go back after Stonebanks again, and he is joined by a man named Galgo. Galgo's entire team was killed, and he's looking for action. He's great at his job, but he can't stop talking. Barney is planning on going after Stonebanks with just Galgo, because he thinks he burned the bridge with his old team. However, when he is on the runway getting ready to take off, everyone from the old Expendables group shows up. Drummer informs Barney that his team ran a signal and frequency check on Barney's team's phones, and they located them. They're in Asmenistan, at Stonebanks' compound, and he's not even trying to hide the fact that he has the new recruits, because he wants Barney to come after him. Stonebanks' compound is heavily fortified, and he has the support of the corrupt local government. The Expendables make their way to Stonebanks' compound, and they find the hostages, but it's a trap. Stonebanks rigged the building with C4, and he gives them 45 seconds to get out of the facility. One of the new guys named Thorne uses a handheld computer to block the detonator signal. The battery in the computer is only at 8%, however, giving them 25 minutes. Because he stopped the signal, Stonebanks sends the entire Asmenistan army to attack them. The army has an overwhelming numbers advantage, along with helicopters and tanks. The Expendables are able to fight off most of the first wave, and Gunner and Toll Road commandeer a tank. We see that Galgo is an expert killer who is enjoying himself. Drummer and Trench join the fight and provide air support from a helicopter. Stonebakes is getting frustrated at this point because it looks like the Administrant army is unable to handle or control the 10 Expendables. So he ends up driving to the site himself to take care of it personally. Drummer lands the helicopter on the roof to extract the Expendables, but when Barney is trying to make his way out of the building, Stonebakes shoots him in his body armor. And he makes Barney give up his guns because he wants to fight hand to hand. And they slug it out until Stonebakes decide to go for a gun. And Barney gets to one first, and he shoots him. Barney runs to the roof, which is collapsing at this point, but he ends up making it to a rope hanging from the chopper. I'm curious to hear who people think should be joining the Expendables in the future, and who should be a future villain. If you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.